Our guest today is Mirna Bard. She has been named as one of the smartest people in social media by various popular bloggers. Mirna is a world-known social media speaker, master trainer, thought leader, and instructor of social media at the University of California, Irvine. Welcome to the show, Mirna.
Hello, Dr. Joyce. Really nice to be here. Thank you.
My pleasure. It seems like everyone is hiding behind the computer when they use social media. So is having a professional personal image on social networking sites really as important as it is in the offline world?
I say absolutely. It's as important, if not more important, than the offline world. And I say this because the Internet, as we know, is overcrowded. It has, a lot of people have to dig through the clutter to find you. And once they find you, they find your profile, they find your website, your blog. You literally have seconds to make a lasting first impression. So when you're face-to-face, at least you have a little bit more time. But online, you literally have seconds to make that impression. So when people can go online now and look for products and services, they have more choices, and more choices equals more competition. And having that professional, personal image will help you stand above competition and build trust and credibility.
That definitely is true. Being an image consultant, I know that to be true. I just don't understand why so many people don't see the value of being on Facebook or Twitter. Do you know what the answer to that would be?
Well, many people think it's a waste of time because there are things that are waste of time. It's just because they don't know that they can, actually put together a strategy and build genuine relationships like they can do offline. So it comes as lack of knowledge, lack of education. But once they're educated, and you're seeing it more and more. The more people are getting educated about social media, about Facebook, about Twitter, the more they're starting to enjoy it and starting to see results in their business.
Well, definitely that's how we met. So I think it's really a valuable resource for anybody who's looking for people to know what they do or who they are. So definitely that's preaching to the choir for me.
Right, right.
Can you give listeners a few action tips on how to build their personal image on the social networks?
Sure. Well, before embarking on any social networking campaign, which it really, social networking operates as a personal, conversational level. So a business must establish a clear vision, and that person really must know who they are and what makes them unique. And you have to answer the question, why would someone choose to build a relationship with you over the 20 zillion other yous in the market? And in order to do that, you have to know what personality you want to convey out there. You need to make that clear starting with your profile image that you have on social networking sites, the colors you choose for your branding, the words you choose for your profile descriptions, your blog, your website, even the types of words that you choose for your status updates and tweets. And don't you think that would make a huge difference in, if somebody's coming out in a professional manner versus just throwing anything out there?
I absolutely do. I feel that people don't even think about who they are. Having worked with people with self-esteem for so many years, I find so many people don't have it. So if they don't know who they are in real life, how are they going to be able to strategize on who they want to be on a Facebook page or something like that?
Right.
So,
right, and then building that image online it's a little bit harder because it's not about that catchy logo or the slogan that you're going to throw out there. It's about building that image that's telling your customer a story or telling the people a story about who you are, what you believe in, why they should trust you. So that's really important to have in place before you move forward.
Definitely, I agree with that. Well, being in the image field, how do you think image fits in with branding, and why should someone build personal brand equity with social media in both arenas, an entrepreneur or working with a company?
And this is a little tricky because a lot of people that are working with companies now are just saying, well, we don't have to. Image doesn't really matter because we're working for a company, we're employed. It matters because with social media, we're getting used to authenticity and openness. We're getting used to seeing the humans behind the company, who are the people that are working for the company. So whether you are self-employed, an entrepreneur, or employed by a company, you must establish and build your own brand equity with social media using your own name and not the company name. So social media has become popular, and we're getting used to seeing avatars instead of logos. We're getting used to seeing names and people, and we're associating those names and people with certain expertise. So we're not actually associating the company, we're associating the individuals themselves. And especially in this type of economy when, jobs are scarce and successful employees working at large companies or small businesses need to create that brand within a brand. This is your passport that travels with you from place to place. It becomes your portable brand, if you will. So if someone has built brand equity when an employee, they can take that brand equity to another company. They can start their own business. So whether you're online or offline, you still have to protect your brand equity and brand reputation, and keep working on building your own positioning and equity. And I've seen this more and more as people, again, get educated about social media. You start to see that more online.
Definitely. Well, I've noticed that people are getting very specific of who they want to follow on Twitter or who they want to friend on Facebook. People are removing people where they don't have a picture, where they don't really feel they are getting to know the person. Why do you think that is?
I personally do not follow anybody on Twitter who does not have a picture. I prefer seeing a face instead of a logo. So I've reached out to certain people that I want to build a relationship with, and I've said, look, you're following me. I don't see your face. Who are you? Or, they might send me a tweet, and I don't know who they are because all I see is a logo, and there's no name written of who that person is. So I can't have an actual genuine conversation with them. So so that's why a lot of people will get unfollowed because of that reason. I'm not building the relationship with, the logo. I want to build the relationship with that person. And if somebody adds me to Facebook and I know they haven't engaged with me or even said a hello or, they disappeared for 6 months or to a year, when I clean up my profile, you bet that I'm going to unfriend them.
Well, that's great advice. When people ask me, how did I get 60,000-plus people on Twitter? And really it's relationships. I literally take the time for every DM, direct message, to answer everybody. If somebody sends something on the home page, I make a comment. I'm constantly doing this, and I've made it so that it's not even but an hour a day. It's not really even that much time. But it's all about relationships, isn't it, Mara?
It is. That is like the huge aspect of it. We always have to think relationships first, business second. Because when you and I met, we didn't even discuss business. I mean, it wasn't like this thing to where, okay, this is what I do, this is what you do, and check out our website. It wasn't like that. We truly, ended up establishing a real friendship, and this is where it led us. So, that's where people make that big mistake.
And I love it because I went to Vegas one time to meet some friends and actually had dinner with one of my Twitter friends. So it's kind of like we now have a relationship where she calls me and we talk, and I just think it's wonderful. I don't think you could have enough really solid relationships. And some of the things that Facebook has opened up to us, I think it's just incredible because I feel very close to at least 10 people on one of them being you, but on Twitter or on Facebook, especially on Facebook, because people are getting to know me. I'm not just an image consultant. I'm not just in one field. I'm a person who has feelings, and I put them out there on my page, and I think that's so important, and I wish other people would see the value of it. I think they will, but we got in there first, didn't we, Mirna?
Right, definitely did.
You got to notice these things, be proactive. What are some things we need to think about when building personal brand equity?
Well, there's a few things. There's a lot of things, actually, but I'm just going to state a few of them. Of course, we already said use your own name, and you want to take your name and claim that name across different social media sites. So you want to claim it on Twitter, on Facebook. You want to get your domain under your name, your blog. And you want to use your own avatar. We don't want to see logos. We don't want to see pictures of your kids, your pets, your celebrities as your profile, right? I mean, when you see that and you don't see that smile on someone's face, but you see fake pictures or someone doesn't have a picture, doesn't that bother you? I know it bothers me.
It always makes me think that they're not proud of who they are.
Exactly.
That's what it does. And what do you think about these people that just continue to change their Facebook page picture. To me, that's inconsistency. What do you think about that?
I don't like it. If you do it once in a while, just for a week because you want to show something fun, I have no problem with it. But if they do it every day or every other day or every week, I think that's a little bit too much. You really have to keep that consistency across the board so people recognize you on every site. And I know people say, oh, that's boring, it's the same picture. It doesn't matter. I think the more people see your face in that exact picture, the more they can recognize you. It operates like a logo in a way.
Well, if they have a need to show pictures of their kids and their grandparents and anything else they want to show, they can put it under My Photos. They don't have to change their Facebook picture.
Right, exactly. And I see that. And I see a lot of people doing that. And one of the reasons, Dr. Joyce, is if they change their photo, it'll show up in the feed on Facebook.
Right.
So they're trying to continue to show up every day and on the feed so that way they don't lose their presence, which they're doing it incorrectly, but I've heard that's why a lot of people do it. And at the end, it's really not going to make a huge difference for them. They're actually going to end up losing instead of gaining something.
Well, you probably noticed that I rarely talk about myself or my business or try to get people to go to some place to look at something. I believe if people know who you are, they'll type in Dr. Joyce Knudsen or Mirna Bard, on Google, and they'll find you. But other people seem to be constantly promoting what they do. How do you feel about that? I don't like it. I feel like I'm being sold.
Here's the thing, and this goes back to having that professional image of etiquette. When you have, etiquette is really important online. And if you don't show people that you are genuine, authentic, and you're trying to build a friendship with them, a relationship with them, and you're just selling, you're actually turning people off versus on. And you said that you get turned off because of that. A lot of people start unfriending you and unfollowing you if you're constantly talking about yourself, because it's not about you. It's about them. It's what the content that they want to see from you, and how it's going to make a difference in their business and their life. And because their question to you is, what's in it for me? Every time you share something online, what's in it for me? Why should I have that relationship with you? Why should I listen to you? Why should I follow you? And why should I pay attention to you and not somebody else? I think it's really important not to hard sell people. It's a big loss.
Well, I love the self-actualization I feel when people say to me, oh, I loved your fan page because it's so inspiring. That gives me goosebumps. It's like, oh, my goodness, somebody's been inspired by little old me. So I really enjoy that part of it. Sure, I want them to go to my website. Sure, I'd like them to become a client, but that isn't the way you go about doing it. And I've noticed the people that do that, I kind of do a little homework on this, I notice that the people that do that don't have very many followers or fans on their pages.
Yeah, because they're getting unfriended. Because this is not when you're on a social networking site, you're building relationships. You're there to engage with your friends, your colleagues, your family. You're really not there to be sold to, and I think that's a wrong approach for social networking sites.
I agree. It's not a good approach at all. Well, tell us some steps that people can take to creating a personal branding statement that really is good.
Sure. Well, I think everybody needs a personal branding statement, and that statement is not your mission statement. It's not your job title. It's a catchphrase, if you will, about your specific expertise that you want to have on social networking sites. So you want to have that catchphrase on every site. So first, you want to list your attributes, your qualities, your skills. The goal here is to find the one or two things that separate you from your competition and make you unique. Second, you want to choose an audience. So creating that statement that is too broad and undirected, a particular group will most likely alienate many of your potential business prospects or anybody that you're trying to reach out there, your audience. Third, of course, you want to be honest. Honesty is huge. It's really, you don't want to exaggerate your abilities, so you don't want to call yourself an expert or the best person out there or or the leader in your field, because those types of titles are more, they're not self-proclaimed. Those are the titles that people actually refer to you as. So you want to be careful when you're writing your statement. You also want to make it memorable. Even though you want it to stand out, remember that using large words, again, may alienate your audience. The statement of your brand should be something that others can remember easily, and know that this is something that you stand for. And when you're creating that statement, you want to brainstorm with others that know you very well, your friends, your colleagues, your family, and let them tell you what they think your strengths are, because this is where it's going to come from. It's really other people's impression of you that you're going to put in that statement. And of course, you want to go out and market that statement, because if you create it and you're not telling people about it, then no one is going to see it.
That's great advice. Well, how is personal branding statement different than a mission statement?
A personal branding statement actually talks about what you're an expert at, and what it talks about your audience, what they can get from you. A mission statement is more what you're trying to do for them. A personal branding statement really talks about what you stand for, what makes you unique, what abilities you have that others may not have, but it states it in a way that is a benefit to your audience.
Well, I always tell my clients, don't ask what you're going to get out of doing something like joining an organization. Ask what you can do for the organization, and I think it's very important to put the onus on the other person. The other person is why you're there, to give something to the other person. It's sort of like a pay-it-forward type of thing. Would you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. Again, it's, because they're going to be asking what's in it for me. You always have to put your mind in your audience's mind and say, okay, what is in it for them? So if I'm offering this service, this product, what is in it for the audience? What benefits are they going to get out of it? What value are they going to get out of it? And even if it's just providing content online, you always, when you're creating content to attract that audience, you really want to think about, okay, how am I going to help them? How is this going to benefit them in their business, in their personal lives, in their family life? And it's not about the kind of content that you like, that you want out there. It's really about the content that you think your audience is going to be attracted to.
It's really about the other person, isn't it?
It is, always.
It really is.
Always.
Well, I know that it does, but I'm going to ask you from a different perspective. Does etiquette apply to online world just as much as it applies otherwise?
Yes. The same exact etiquette rules that you use offline when building relationships also apply online. So whatever you're doing at networking events or meeting or conferences offline, you want to do the same exact thing online. Because remember, just because you're behind that computer does not mean you don't have to worry about being real, being courteous, being polite. You always have to practice those things online, and it really becomes more important because, online you're not face-to-face, and you really have to be over courteous and, practice etiquette even more so people are attracted to that.
That's definitely true. Well, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. That's what I always tell people.
Right.
It's not going to cost you one penny to be nice. So try to think that way. I think it's a great way to think. Well, what are some netiquette rules that we should follow online, specific netiquette rules?
Sure. Well, we've kind of touched on a couple of them already, but first you want to be a giver. You want to be a giver so you shall receive back. And if you want something from someone, whether it's a backlink to your site, whether you want someone to retweet for you, then you should be thinking about what you can do for them. And we've touched on that. So it's really common sense, but even if it's common sense, most people have lost it in their quest for this online greatness that they're searching for. It's like they're almost in that rat race. They want to beat, they want to get everything for them and their business online because of all, the overcrowded, competition. It's just a part of being online, I guess, and so people have lost that. So you want to help someone out, and they will remember you when you come back to them at a later date asking for a favor. That's the first etiquette rule. Of course, being polite, as simplistic as that sounds, it really is one of the most effective methods of communicating with others on social media. So remember to say please, to say thank you, to compliment people, to praise people, to give shout-outs to people that have done great things and congratulate them. And that goes a long way, don't you think? I mean, if somebody achieved something and you saw that and it's just making a comment on it, that's huge.
It's huge. It really is. People need to be complimented. They may not know how to accept a compliment, but definitely need to be complimented. And I do agree with you that we've kind of lost our way in the etiquette department of people just being nice for the sake of being nice. It needs to be about sharing. It needs to be about making the other person feel good about themselves, and in turn, you'll feel good about yourself or better about yourself than you did before.
I think so. I definitely agree with that.
Do you see any common etiquette mistakes people make when trying to build their online relationships?
I see a lot of mistakes. And the first one I see is, people tend to not listen. You need to be listening more than you speak online. And you've probably heard the saying, God gave you two ears and one mouth. So you should listen twice as much as you speak. And what I mean by that is you should pay attention to what others are saying online more than you're posting. And you should be commenting on others' comments and posts more than the posts that you make online. And that really goes a long way because you want to be visible on other people's pages and you want to try to build the relationship with those people. Another common mistake is fake friending. So I see a lot of people adding everyone and everyone just to grow their network, and they don't want to reach out and build a relationship. They don't want to reach out and talk to you. They just want to grow. They want the numbers. They want the quantity versus the quality. And that's, like we said before, people will start unfriending you once they notice what you're up to. So you really don't want to be doing that, especially when you're pushing sales and promoting, because, again, relationships first, business second. And another mistake is not being responsive. So when people are asking you questions online, whether it's through a DM, a private message on your wall, make sure you don't ignore that. That's huge. When that really comes across as, okay, that's not a professional image that you're trying to portray. Even if it's just a short answer, taking the time to answer people back is really important. And I see people who are throwing out questions. They're letting everybody answer their questions on, like, for example, Facebook, but they never come back to join the conversation and respond to those people. And I think that's a huge mistake.
And it's rude. It's just
very
rude. And so listening is another lost trait of people, besides the lack of etiquette. So I think those are two things people need to work on. Can you give our listeners a short example on how to apply everything we talk about today on a social networking site like Facebook?
Sure. So let's say you want to go on Facebook, you want to build a profile. The very first thing you want to do is have a professional image up. So if you're doing this for a business, make sure you invest the money to go and get a professional photo done. And then you want to complete your profile 100%. So as much, in a professional manner. So you want to tell people as much about you as you can on your profile pages. So don't neglect to not fill those parts out. Then when you're trying to build a relationship and trying to find people to build a relationship with, look for people who you have common interests with. And once you know you want to build a genuine relationship with them online, and possibly take that offline. So if I were to friend you, Dr. Joyce, we're already friends, but let's just say I were to go on and friend you, I want to first introduce myself. I want to mention something that we may have in common. I want to tell you that I want to get to know you better. And I'm not going to say anything about my business. I'm not going to say, please go visit my website, join my mailing list. I want to just build that relationship with you first. And once we've established that, maybe I can go do it later. Now, if once you add me as a friend, I want to start paying attention to your posts, to your comment. I want to like them. I want to comment on them. And if you're asking for help, even if it's not business related, and I know the answer to your question, I want to make sure that I give you that answer, because you're going to remember me when it's really time to get, ask me for something, or for me to ask you for a favor. So you want to do all this with authenticity. You want to use every etiquette rule out there, plus showing a little bit of charisma, passion for what you do can really go a long way. It can grab people's attention. And I think that's the way we met Dr. Joyce on Facebook.
Absolutely. I'm very big on showing empathy for other people. I've been told I'm over-empathetic because I'm constantly, it really bothers me when somebody has a friend that died, or it just gets to me as if it's my friend, too. I'm protecting the friend I made on Facebook.
Right.
So I do think that it's very important to have all of those things. Hopefully you approve of what I've done on the Facebook page as far as the professional profile and the photo. I just don't understand why people put up these silly-looking pictures and they don't realize that people just are looking at it like, what?
Right.
Don't they have a picture of themselves, or don't they at least have something they can have airbrushed so they can put something up there that looks good?
Yeah, it shows me that people are not willing to make an effort. And if you're not willing to make an effort for your business and show that you're passionate about your business and you really are out there caring and trying to help people, then I don't want to be the one who's doing business with you. So, and that's that. I mean, that right there is a huge tip for everybody.
I think that's a great statement for people to remember, because I know in my own business what makes me stand out from my competition is that I make that effort. I make sure that I call people back. I make sure I let them talk to me as long as they need to. Even though it says maybe 15 minutes, there's no such thing as 15 minutes on the telephone. If people have a need to tell you something, then you listen. And you're doing yourself a favor because you're learning how to listen.
Exactly.
So that really works well for me. What makes you different from the other social media experts out there? Those seem to be growing a lot in number. And what results can our listeners expect to achieve from working with just you, Mirna?
Sure. Well, yeah, social media experts are in every corner right now, so it's hard for us to differentiate ourselves. Well, my ideal clients, first of all, they're C-level executives and successful entrepreneurs who have an open mind about the Internet. They have a willingness to learn. They're ready to do whatever it takes to succeed on the social web. So these are the people who want to be the innovators in their industry. They are looking for the proper guidance and direction on integrating the social web into their entire business strategy and not just marketing. So when someone hires me, I come in as a business advisor first and then a social media consultant second. And what I mean by that is if I evaluate your business and I know you're having a problem with your branding, your website is not up to par, your customer service is not there, we make sure that together to correct these things before and get you ready for social media before you jump on social media, because those things can really, truly hurt you online. So I'm not really the type of social media consultant that says, okay, you have to be on Facebook, you have to be on Twitter. I don't even start, my clients out with these things. And if they don't have to be, if their target audience is not there, and just because everybody's on Facebook or Twitter doesn't mean this is something that they should be doing. So I really take that hype-free approach with my training, with my consulting, and I dive into the entire business and not just focusing on marketing aspect of the social web. So it's important for me to show businesses that they can use the web and social media platforms to streamline their entire business processes. My strength really lies in integration and strategy and helping people build the meaningful relationships, nurture current ones, helping people set themselves apart as experts and standing above the competition, also assisting them with magnetizing people to attract their ideal clients online and not just everybody and anybody, and really boosting their online presence and increasing qualified traffic to their sites and not just any type of traffic.
That's a great approach and strategy, I feel. Mirna, this has been very informative. I'm sure our listeners would like to know how to reach you and learn more about you.
Sure. Well, they can find me on mirnabard.com, so it's my full name, and I'm also all over the Internet, so they can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on all the sites out there. I'm under Mirna Bard, so I'm not very hard to find.
Do you have a website? You said that you
mirnabard.com.
Okay, great. Well, I enjoyed speaking with you today very much, Mirna, and thank you so much for being our guest today on the ImageMaker Presents Network.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.